live. Hello and welcome to the Ladies' Room. Today I'm Judy McDowell, your host, and today I have with me a very, very prolific writer named TJ Clemente. You may have seen his articles all around. He makes sense of a lot of very complicated stuff here on the East End, and I enjoy your articles very much.
You're very kind.
And you, I don't know how you do it. You're at every town meeting, and you're all over the place, dealing with really complicated issues, and then you present it in a way that a human being can actually understand what's going on.
That's all because I have really wonderful editors, and Susan Gallardi, and even Dan himself, who literally, when I send in the stories, dissect them and put them back together again in a way that keeps us from getting sued and enhances them. So we'll give them some credit.
You've written over 2,000 articles.
Almost around. It's amazing.
Wow.
Over in 7 years.
Huh.
But the thing that got away from me is I did write one on Marilyn Monroe and Arthur Miller. Their 2 years in Amagansett back in like 57, 58, whenever it was. And was after I printed it, you told me you actually met Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, yes, I did. Yes,
Fire Island or something?
Yeah.
So how did that come about? I mean, everyone loves to hear about Marilyn Monroe. I mean, I've researched her, but you actually met her. So tell me, how old were you?
Well, what happened was my father and I were closing our house on Fire Island.
Right.
And my mom was out there all summer partying, but when it came to the fall and she was back in all her clubs, she didn't want to deal with it. So my dad and I would always go out, the two of us, and we enjoyed that weekend together. And we would close the house and throw mothballs all around. So we were docking our boat, and I had just gotten a little red wagon, and a seaplane started buzzing around. And my father was like, who would be coming here in October to Fire Island in a seaplane? So I ran down to the end of the dock, and the seaplane landed, and the door opened, and this lake came out in this kind of glass slipper.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And
now was this like a dress?
She had on a little pink eyelet sundress.
Up below the knee, above the knee?
Above the knee.
Yeah.
Little, almost strapless, had a little T-straps, and all her hair was tousled. She had no makeup on, and she had thousands of freckles. Her whole face was freckled.
That's right, I know that.
And she was adorable. And I stood on that dock with my mouth open, this 12-year-old, and then they had to wade in, and she's with Arthur Miller. He had to get out. And I ran back to my father's boat, and I was like, Dad, it's Marilyn Monroe. It's Marilyn Monroe. And he was like, oh, Judy, you know. And I ran back down to the dock, and they waded ashore and came up, and she was like, hi, who are you? And she chatted with me the whole way around the harbor, and then there was my father's boat, and my father was astounded. Mm-hmm. So he was looking for stuff to get an autograph. And
isn't it a shame that you didn't have one of those cell phones so you have that photo that we all can? Because back then it was the Kodak Brownie or something like that.
Even the brownies were this big, right? But cameras were then all the
so anyway, go back.
Filters and all the stuff, the lenses.
And
well, then my father and I both walked with she and Arthur Miller up to the what they call now the Botel, but it was the Pines and Dunes Yacht Club at that time. It's still actually the Pines and Dunes Yacht Club, but they call it the Botel. And they had heard that there were good hamburgers there, and they were hungry, and it was, like 2 in the afternoon, and they were stopping for a hamburger. So we chatted with them the whole time, and then
now, was there a pilot, or did Arthur Miller fly the plane?
No, there was a pilot. He did not join them for lunch.
He stayed on.
And my father had her sign a $1 bill, and he found a piece of paper, and she wrote it to Judy and everything. Do you think we can find those autographs? And my mom just passed away, and I don't know.
Well,
I don't know where they are.
So you remember her voice?
Well, it was very sweet, but not breathy.
Did she chat it up at all, or?
Yeah, well, she was basically asking me about Fire Island and how long have you been here, and what is this place, and would it be a good place to rent a house, and what do you do in the summer, and just like the girl next door, just so sweet and kind.
Now, did she move like she moves in the movies with all these?
She's on boardwalk, and she had these.
Did you high heels on?
She had little glass,
not deck shoes, mind you.
Plexiglass mules. So, and her pretty little dress. So, she was walking just fine. She was a very capable girl, and she.
And Arthur Miller,
what now? Natural.
Was he kind of like standoffish?
Standoffish, yeah. I would
Which is
say.
always the.
Yeah. He didn't really want to be bothered, but he was kind of He had kind of dropped back and walked next to my father, and he was asking my father about his boat and stuff. Mm-hmm. And she was just chatting with this little girl.
Now you were 12.
Yeah.
Because when I did the.
It was 1957.
When I did the article in the documentary, I always said Arthur Miller was my age in his 50s. I'm 57 now, but he was in his 50s. And she was like 26 then. 26.
I don't know.
20, yeah, she was 26. 26. Did you, it just didn't even, how could such a young girl, it just seemed that, you were just so excited.
You know, I was on Fire Island from the time that I was 7 until I was about 23. I was there every summer for 16 summers. And there weren't, the Fire Island Pines at that time was half gay and half straight. So there were about 25 straight families from usually Sayville, Patchogue Bay Point, Bayport, places like that, it was their summer homes. In 1952, they started developing the land out there, and my dad saw an ad in the paper and said, wow, this sounds interesting, let's go and check it out. And that day, he bought a piece of land there, and it took 2 years before the house was built, and we stayed on our boat until the house was built, which was not a very big boat, but enough for us to stay on. And the half of the gay people were very...
this is in the 50s now.
This is in the 50s.
Now the gay, we've come a long way, baby. Because I'm curious because I was in college in 1971 and 75 when like gay rights and people were coming out of the closet and
this is
women. So what was it like in the 50s?
All the people, first of all, Fire Island Pines and Cherry Grove were right next to each other. There was about a mile of beach in between that was called the Meat Rack. So in Cherry Grove were all the flamboyant gay people, the hairdressers and all the transvestites and all the crazy gay people. The Pines was very wooded, so the houses were set back into the woods. Everything was very private, and it was a very small community. So we had the gay people that were still in the closet. We had bank presidents, Ralph Burns, the wonderful orchestrator who did Funny Girl and everything. So Barbara Streisand came out, Kay Medford came out. Artists, Hal Fredericks, a bunch of artists, Jerry Herman, who wrote Hello, Dolly. And I was a kid, and I was always around the harbor with my little bamboo fishing pole, and they all chatted me up, and so I had all these older gay friends at the time. Not
to digress back, but did you actually have a hamburger, too, when Marilyn Monroe and Arthur, they went in and had their, so you didn't see them leave either?
No, because we took our red wagon up to the house to close up the house.
Now, if this were to happen today, you might go in and have the burger.
Maybe. Yeah, hey, I'm 65. She'd be 100. No, she'd be, what, 75 now?
That's one of the most amazing things about Marilyn Monroe is that she just never gets older than 36.
No, she was so adorable.
And, and the same thing with John Kennedy. It's kind of interesting that the two of them are kind of frozen in that zest of an era of midlife glamour forever.
Yes.
There's no picture of him looking like Jimmy Carter, all shriveled up, and
that's true.
or he's always, either with the Ray-Ban sunglasses or a tightly pressed suit with the thin tie of the era, and she's always wearing some sort of skin-tight dress that. And back then, women were more. With more curves, I guess.
Yeah, she was size 12.
Was she?
Yeah, she was.
Did you notice that?
Full body.
Did you?
No, she looked perfect. I mean, well, don't forget, we all adored her. I mean, some of the first movies I ever remember.
What was your first impression? First impression you see her, you recognize who it is. Was it the freckles? Was it the hair? Was it her size?
The first impression.
Was there a smell? Was there anything?
I think all the tously blonde hair, and then the freckles. Because I was shocked to see the freckles because when you saw her on the big screen, her skin was like porcelain. But she was a master at doing makeup. She always did her own makeup.
Is that true? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know she used to buy. Actually, you're right because she actually used to buy her makeup at White's Pharmacy in East Hampton.
Go into White's, yes.
A lot, and she used to just buy her makeup there. That's why she went into White's, to get her own makeup. Now, do you remember what lipstick color?
Well, it was pale pink because the dress was very pale pink with white eyelid over it. It was a little tea dress.
But you said no eye makeup or anything, just lipstick.
No makeup.
Just
no makeup. Pale. Her lips were pale pink.
Good skin?
Freckles. Yeah, really good skin.
Really good
Very
skin, which is unusual for Hollywood people have that really bad makeup.
No.
Today they do anyway. Wow.
Yeah. First, back, in the 50s, in the early 50s, the big Hollywood movies were like Girls with Kay Kendall, How to Marry a Millionaire. I'll never forget the scene where, like, Kay Kendall's in bed dreaming of mink coats, and Betty Grable's in bed dreaming of Rolls Royces, and Marilyn Monroe's in bed dreaming of a hot dog. It was just like,
but that's sort of who she was,
when I was 12.
And the funny thing is that the little bit of research that I've done, that's who she was. Yeah. She was really, she used to go with the Springs Deli.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote about how, she had a convertible Jaguar or something, and she would be speeding with her dog Hugo, who was a Basset Hound. You'd go on the back roads in the Springs.
She had a Basset Hound?
Yes, I have pictures. And he would be hanging out of the window. And back then, remember, this is before this is the 50s. Cars were going 70, 80 miles an hour, no speed limits, and she'd be going from Stony Hill Road up to the Springs Deli, because where else, that deli's been there forever. I'm sure she was getting, and I'm not sure when Jackson Pollock came out here. I don't think he was there yet in the 58, was he?
I don't know.
He may have been.
The end of the 50s.
Yeah, they may have.
Because I've been here since the middle of the 60s, and they were already ensconced.
Wow.
Yeah.
You also wanted to mention that I've had the pleasure of covering real estate out here for the last couple of years, from the very top. I remember writing "When Will the Bubble Burst?" to "Have we reached the bottom?" And then the next one, "Are we bouncing off the bottom?"
Very perceptive. You're usually ahead of the curve with your perceptions.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to get to talk to some of the
top dogs.
Yeah, who are running the. But they're not the ones who usually let you know what's really going on. It's the other agents.
They're always going to say, "Oh yes, it's coming back," and
it's
doing well,
stronger.
And
yes,
the numbers are stronger this year. The percentages are all up.
Now you were once the master guru of formulating mortgages for people who are on that ascent of that bubble. And I believe am I allowed to mention that?
Who's interviewing who here?
Well, it's just a bad habit of mine.
It's very funny.
Yeah. So,
okay.
But so you.
I was in real estate for.
Are we not allowed to talk
years.
about this on air, though?
No, of course. I was in real estate for. I was with Braverman Newbold Brennan. Then I was with Ellen Schneider. Then I was with Sotheby's, and then, in the 90s. We couldn't help but make money in the stock market. Everybody was making money hand over fist in the stock.
Cisco. Whatever was this?
98 through 2000.
Cisco.
98, 99, 2000.
You couldn't sit in a bar without somebody saying, "My Cisco, my Cisco,
Qualcomm,
my Cisco."
VerticalNet. They were all my babies. JDSU. I mean, my tech stocks. I love them. And my broker. When the market was starting to go down, I wanted to sell half of everything, and he was like, "Are you kidding me? They're blue chip tech stocks." I didn't have any .coms, but
April 13th.
He wouldn't let me sell. He would not let me sell.
By the way, I know the date, April 13th, 2000.
Well,
the tech crash.
We lost all of our money actually over Thanksgiving weekend of 2000. I was.
Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving.
Is that when you finally sold?
Before Thanksgiving.
That's when you sold?
The market dropped 700 points, and my whole portfolio clicked off because I was 500,000 out on margin.
Well, we don't need to share all of these facts and figures, but let's just remember that you still have two beautiful homes out here and some property in California. So you didn't lose everything.
That's why
we just lost the petty cash.
That's why.
You just lost some of the petty. You lost some of the petty cash.
All of our money, folks. We did. And so, after weeping and gnashing my teeth and calling Merrill Lynch and begging them to give my portfolio back, I was crying all morning, and then I took a shower and did some yoga and opened my eyes, and you're right. I looked around, and I have a lovely home. My dog was asleep on the rug next to me. My cat was on my bed. I have a wonderful husband, a beautiful daughter.
Was not this dog.
Oh, my husband. No, it was not this dog. This, I think, is the story of our marriage now. I'm yelling at Michael, and Michael's saying, I didn't do it. And I'm, yes, you did. But actually, the dog and the seagull are fighting over a fish. But that's one of Michael
But that's not the dog.
Michael McDowell's painting. No, we've had a couple of golden retrievers,
but wait
a couple
a
of labs.
So exactly, which firm are you with now before we run out of time?
That's why I got into mortgages, because I called all of the mortgage companies to get refinanced. I said to Michael, no problem. We'll refinance both of the houses. We'll pull money out, and I'll start over. So then I started calling all the mortgage companies and the brokers, and they were all like, well, you know, you haven't worked in a couple of years, because I've been trading. And Michael's an artist, and you're going to have to go no income verification, and the bank's going to charge you a point for that, and your credit's very good, but really you have 700, and really they want 720, so they're going to charge you a point for that. And it was going to be like 9% and 2 points. And I said, Michael, our payments are going to be over $10,000 a month. We can't do this. I said, I'll just be a mortgage broker now. And he said, how are you going to do that? And I said, I'll get a job.
You know, the synergy of that whole, the way you've laid it out is practically almost how it all happened, because first the tech market crashed, and then the investors started buying homes, tangible things, after getting burnt with stocks, with tech companies that didn't even really exist. And then the housing market went up, and then the people started borrowing because they were making hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, and they were the way they used to pull out of their portfolio text.
Absolutely.
And it's the same sort of, so you tapped into that.
Yeah. It's a pump and dump.
So one sort of caused the other almost, you know, because if the tech market had not crashed, probably the real estate market wouldn't have boomed like that. I don't think anyone's ever said that. You know, I mean, I was just thinking, I'm sure maybe many people have said it, but not where I frequent. Not in the ladies' room. So what's the new company, and what's the new position?
Well, I was at Manhattan Mortgage for 3 years. Then I went into private banking with Wells Fargo, and then I went back to Manhattan Mortgage for 5 years, and now I am.
I love that you throw 5 years around like they're like an hour on the.
I'm senior vice president of Amerifund Home Mortgage now.
That must be a very pretty card to hand out.
It's a nice card.
Senior vice president.
Senior vice president, yeah. Well, we all know what titles mean, right? But
I think the Queen loves hers. Her Majesty. Yeah?
Would that I would be Queen.
Imagine having a card. Does she have a card that says Her Majesty the Queen?
Yeah.
Who should I say is calling? Her Majesty. But anyway.
It probably just says the Queen, or just Queen. But anyway, it's interesting because Amerifund is a bank. And so I can, I mean, we have great rates, like,
you're doing jumbos?
2.875.
Well, they're all great, right? I mean, you can't miss. But do you do jumbos, the ones over 7?
Yeah, we do jumbos.
Because out here, is there any other type of mortgage out here?
Yeah, but mostly jumbos.
Because if a home is...
And there's very little relief for people that have jumbo mortgages. And there's very little relief for anyone, because the banks are hoarding the money. They're not lending the money.
Right.
And now, the government's going to give them $600 billion more. And they're just going to sit on it. They're hoarding the money. They're investing it. And
well, what they're basically doing is they're protecting it because of what happened
protecting it in their pocketbooks and
well,
not
I mean,
ours.
I'd imagine how did you feel after you lost all your money?
I felt like the banks were criminals.
No. Back in 2000.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when it was all gone, if they had given you, if someone had called up, which is kind of interesting how the government didn't call up any of those investors and said, we're going to give you back 80 or 90% of what you just lost.
Oh, that would have been great.
You probably would have put it like in 1% CDs, right? And sat on it and put the statements under the mattress.
Yeah.
But moving along, also, how do you see the business cycle going for next summer?
Well, I guess there's going to be a lot of pop-up stores because there's so many empty storefronts now. This economy, I sometimes feel that the United States is ahead with 2 ears, and there's New York and California, and the whole rest is gray matter, because people really just don't understand what's going on in the economy. The whole rest of the company is such a mess. And Citarella closed a store in Watermill now.
Yeah, 2 of them actually.
And
they actually closed one in Watermill and the one at yes. But
a lot of stores are closing. It's really hard to. Nobody has disposable income. I mean, I terrorize my daughter every day, like, don't shop.
But actually, Montauk had a resurgence. In case you're interested.
Really?
Because what it has is the emerging new job people under 25 who have the disposable income, but they can't afford to pay $40,000 for August. So they go out to Montauk, the land of a billion motels, and they stay for $300 or $400. Like,
$300 or $400 for a week?
A night.
A night? That's more expensive than renting a house.
Not for a weekend, and I don't think there are too many options out here for weekends, is there?
Well, the Enclave Inns are all $89 a night.
No, that's during the season. During the film festival, they were $400 for the weekend.
Are you kidding?
No, I kid you not.
That's not fair.
Well, that's they have to.
Yeah.
We want them to be around. But going back to what I was going to say is the under 25 people are coming into their own. We're having a generational shift, and years back, my brother John, I have lots of brothers, used to come out here, and they used to pay $4,000 for a house for the summer. That's like 1981, 80, in that era. And now he's almost 50, and I'm sure if he wanted to rent that same house, it's probably $40,000. And the kids 20 years old today don't have $40,000. So they're going out to, you see, the market shifted them sort of out. Yeah. So we're going to have a kind of a reshuffling of the deck. Yeah. And it's going to be fun.
Well, the people that got all the money, though, got all the money. The Wall Street guys and the bankers and the corporates, they're driving their Hummers and their
Well, it's
Bentleys
somewhere.
around.
The money is somewhere, I suppose. But in all honesty, your life is wonderful. I've been, you haven't lived until you've been to a Judy McDowell party.
Oh, well,
and you have them on a regular basis.
Well,
maybe every night for some of your choice friends.
Actually.
But the point being is that we talk about the money but the lifestyle is fantastic for all of us,
we're
right?
So lucky.
And the vibrancy of the area is.
I looked around, and how lucky am I to live here?
So you haven't gotten a new helicopter,
no.
But the point is,
I got a new job.
But you have you have beautiful homes out here. And I've been to both of them, and but we're not here to talk about all of that stuff. But I think basically it's important that what's the story? Is refinancing? Is this a good time?
It is a good time. Rates are really low. Yeah.
Now, do you have to put 30% down, 20%? I mean,
well, if you're refinancing, you must have 20. You have to have like 20-30% equity in your home.
And are you paying?
And if you have more equity in your home, you can get cash out.
Like the old days.
Like the old days, but no one will let you go to 80 or 90% anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know, in the old days, people got 97, 100% financing.
I know people got 120% financing.
That is the section that caused all the problem, and really they should have been counseled to not take that much equity out of the home.
I do know of one specific person who was a friend of mine, and I won't mention what he did, who literally bought a home in the Springs, was unemployed, on unemployment, got a 120% mortgage at a ridiculously high rate, and he's still paying it. He's never missed a payment. So that was non-verified. That's where we were going with that.
But has the value? Has he renovated? Has the value of his house come up at all? Because
yes, he has actually. He's renovating again right now. But in the beginning, after he moved in, he did redo the bathrooms, and he was a carpet every one out here.
Because he needs to get a lower rate now.
Oh yeah,
he should not be paying that high rate anymore.
Well, it's been it's been 3 years now.
They say they're going to modify these loans, but they don't. The banks don't modify. You have to call them like 5 zillion times, and they keep saying, "Oh, we can't do it now. You have to call so and so." They keep bouncing you around.
But to reach you, how does one call? Is there is that against the rules here to mention?
No, I don't. Judy McDowell. But you can email the ladies' room.
Okay, you can email
the ladies' room at optimum.net.
And you think this is an important time where I think everyone who has, shall we say, a complicated mortgage situation or even a not, to kind of have a review.
Reassess their
a review, right? You should always review everything.
Yeah,
your insurance, everything should be reviewed periodically because, quite frankly, as Ben Franklin said, a penny saved is a penny earned. And then on the same token, you may actually be able to refinance the same size mortgage you have and save thousands a month.
Yes, yes.
Which in this time, you know.
And the banker's secret, what the banks don't want you to know, is that if you add a little extra money to your payment every month, you've probably heard that if you pay one extra payment a year, it shortens the life of your mortgage and you save a lot of interest off the back. Most people say, well, I'm not disciplined enough to save the money to pay that extra payment. But if, say, your payment is $1,200 a month, if you pay $1,300 a month, and over 12 months, you've paid that extra payment. And it literally saves you like 10 years off the back, and that's an enormous amount of interest. So people really should do that. Whenever you have extra money, throw it at your mortgage. But make sure you put it in the principal slot. And even though the payment doesn't change, the ratios within the payment changes because you owe less principal now, so they can't charge you interest on money you don't owe. So more of your payment goes on your principal every month.
You've been out here for how many years?
Since 1966.
19 what?
66.
66.
44 years, yeah.
44 years. Oh, God. This is going to... So in 44 years, you live out here.
Yeah.
Is there one home or piece of property or that you've coveted all these years, and you know, if you could just
Grey Gardens.
No,
no, I'm only kidding.
No,
I actually went to Grey Gardens when the Edie's lived there.
Yeah, did you?
The entire living room was a sea of cat food cans, literally. Like they
you
would
can't
just
say
open them
Grey
and
Gardens
throw
without
them.
saying Andrew Wargo. For
Does he
inside
live there now? Yeah.
No, he's one of the many people who are sort of follows everything about. But anyway, so no, really, if there was one, if
one house that I love.
one little charming cottage or one charming farm or one charming.
Oh, there's a house on Town Line Road that's set way back that has little turquoise shutters that I've always loved, and it's a beautiful property, but it's teeny.
Have you ever?
Oh, we're right at the end, TJ.
Okay, have you ever been to it? Inside?
Not inside, no. Oh, and it's the Halloween show, folks. And we thank you. The automatic lights went off, but thank you for joining us. And ladies, leave yourself lots of room. Room for fun, room for love, room to grow, and room to grow. Thank you, TJ, for joining us.
And don't forget to
This is
refinance.
sexy, right?
Don't forget to. We need a
TJ
candle.
and I are going to make out now. Caught the lights went back on.